Hey, it's a Saturday, first day of HSC Marking for me. The exam that I mark was done on Thursday, and I'm a senior marker, so we go in straight up in the morning, like straight away, to sort of get stuff set up. Spend a few days doing that until our markers come in later in the week. We're in a different spot to last year. Last minute we got moved in our venue back to where we were the previous year, back at Sydney Showgrounds. I got a text and an email on Tuesday saying that there'd been a late change. Please check your documents in marking online, and they'd moved us back to the Sydney Showgrounds, but in a different pavilion to where we normally are. The one bonus is getting to the parking for this area is a lot quicker than getting to the parking over the place we were last year, but parking is at least a 12 to 15 minute walk to the pavilion where we were last year, and this year we're at the completely opposite side of the showground, so it's going to be longer, which is why you can see the bike in the back, because in previous years when we were down here and I had the van, you just pull up into parking, pull the bike out and you ride there, and you'd be there in like 2-3 minutes. So this might be like 4 or 5 to get to the other end, and it's the first time in that pavilion, so I've actually got to find the exact entrances and stuff. Didn't get away from the house at the time I wanted. Bad habit of mine. Wanted to leave at least 10 minutes before I did. Need to be at the marking centre for an 8:30 start. My letter said 9. And our supervisor of marking sent a group text out last night saying, can we all try and be there for an 8:30 start? Okay. Anyway, it's just under an hour's drive from the house to the parking, and there shouldn't be much traffic being a Saturday morning. See how we go.
So, it's like, the key to this whole thing is that this is a lady that survived on her own for who knows how many 30, 40, 50 years of her life. Maybe she was a little kid. How did she survive all alone? Father very possibly could have. I mean, his parents. But, well, no, it's not. Wow, that's cool. I'm going to have to check into this because this is an interesting story. And you know what? I like stuff like this. This kind of stuff fascinates me. And I think it is fascinating, yeah. I mean, I'm reading this little bit of a blurb around here. It's believed that the people who massacred the otters. So it's not like the evil Europeans came along and did it. This is, Native Alaskans. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to dig into that story. That's very cool. Let me mention another thing that I saw. Okay. Talking about the evil Europeans who slaughtered. So I saw a documentary because I've not gone into the.
So I'm at the car park. The majority of the cars here are teachers here for marking. They'll be here all day Saturday. That's day 1 of marking down. Day marking is always long. It always feels long. Lots and lots and lots of markers there. Lots of teachers putting in extra time. Back on Monday and Tuesday for 2 more full days before my marking team comes in on Wednesday night. And we've got night marking from there. Really glad I brought the bike down, which I always do, but this marking hall was twice the distance from parking as the one we used to go to down here. So I'm really glad I bought the bike. Tow. Came out here this morning and had a look in the backyard. You can just see, just there, 2 bits of bamboo. There's another one there that wasn't even there this morning. There's a few more through there, a few more through there. This one here, another one there, another one just there. There's at least 20 just in this spot behind the sheds. And I saw 2 in the front yard next to the driveway, about 2 feet tall, weren't there on Friday. But I want to get the weed whacker out into the front yard. Looks like I've almost let them overrun really late. Of course I can hear thunder and it's going to freaking storm. Yeah, that doesn't look like that's happening. This rain settles in, I'm screwed. If it's just a little blowover, I should be alright. Should have come out earlier. Should have come out earlier. That's not a little storm, a little rain passing through. Seems like the heaviest part has passed. Maybe. So I'm going to keep moving. I've got to move this stuff around so I can get to the weed whacker a lot better where it's hanging. You can see the front of it there, but the heaviest part of it's back in the back of that rack I made. I'm going to move this stuff around to try and get some access to it. That works. Man, does this need a bit of organising. Now I need to get to the fuel, which is on that side. A good 2-stroke mix for it. Sounds like the rain stopped, so I'm going to go and do that weed whacking. I got my ferric chloride. The science assistant did the research and mixed them up for me. They had it, which I figured they would. It's good that they did. So that's my etching solution. Didn't get as much done in terms of the bamboo because of that rain. So nothing touched in the backyard. Got the couple out in the front yard. Weed whacked the front yard. That was a bit of a chore too because I ran out of weed whacker line and I couldn't find any more, so I had to put, I don't know if you can see that, there. I had to put my brush cutter blade on, which is, this one's actually a bit bigger than the brush cutter blade. That's an old DeWalt drop saw blade. So I had to put that on there, and while it's excellent for brush cutting, it's useless for grass. It takes forever. Weed whacker line, that stuff, heaps better. And I thought I still had some, but I couldn't find it, so I've obviously run out.
I had to do a lot of gardening out in the front yard because we've got a giant big sandstone pondy thing, which is natural, and we put mondo grass all around the outside. It looks great, but the weeds and everything have been growing into it, and I haven't been on top of it. So I had to go out there and dig a lot of that stuff out. And there was like blackberries and lantana and agapanthus and all sorts of stuff just growing up through the soil. But I ended up digging out these. There's the other one there. Old shearing shears. If you've never seen these before. They take you a little bit of practice getting used to make sure they stay together. Once you sharpen these up, these are awesome. And I've got two sets. Two different sizes. One of these was my dad's, and I can't remember where I got the other one. I think it was like at a garage sale. It's probably that one. This one looks like it's had a lot more use, which would be my dad and all the time I used it before. They seem to be the size. They're awesome. Happy to report this stool is really quite comfortable. Kind of the perfect height if I want to do some work on this. This stool has been really comfortable. It's developed a little bit of cracking in it, but it's actually holding together. Pack up time for the night. You'll notice my push bike's not here, it's in the back of the car, so I can ride to Marking, or ride from the car park to Marking. Sort of looking at a few projects I've got to do, that I want to do. I want to get on top of them.
Monday morning, heading back into Olympic Park for another day of day marking. Do the same thing tomorrow, and then night marking from Wednesday through to Friday down here. You might be able to tell that I'm not moving very fast, and I'm on the freeway. This is what is known as Sydney peak hour, and I'm glad I don't have to drive this far every day of the week. Not so many people here today. I think there was a lot of public parking here as well last time. So this is the brick quarry of Sydney, and they've created this giant walkway. And so going behind me, it basically goes all the way around. Does a massive big loop of this old brick quarry in Sydney. There's little spots around it that have information about the history of the quarry. But basically this is where they made most of the bricks, starting in the early 1900s, for all of the buildings in Sydney. All the buildings you see that are made out of brick, which is a lot. They've actually turned this area into a wildlife reserve now, so there's a lot of frogs and bird life here. There's information about those all the way around it as well. And it's across the road from the Olympic Park Stadium and all of the event areas where we're basically doing marking at the moment. So I came down to have just a quick walk around it on my way back to the car parking area, so I can head back to the house because marking's done for today. But it's quite an interesting looking place when you consider this is a giant quarry, recycled water marshlands, they said, with major hotels, a major Olympic sporting event centre, and literally in the middle of Sydney. And you wouldn't know. As one of the other guys who I mark with, he said he has walked past this for years and never realised this big ring walk thing was here. I'd heard of it because our ag teacher at school has brought kids here for marine biology excursions because of all the stuff on the frogs. If you're afraid of heights, it might not be the best place to come, because you can see how high this thing is. And they do say at the start of the walk that because this is basically a suspended walkway, the walkway is concrete, the whole structure of it's steel, but I guess when a lot of people get on here, you'll get a little bit of movement on it. I've only seen one person and a security guard since I've been here, and I mean the wind hasn't. There's been a little bit of movement with the wind, but not much. And you can probably hear the Sydney traffic in the background because there's a major road just over there, and then there's another one, just the main freeway back to the house is just over that way. So I'm gonna get going back to the car park. The two people that I did see walking around here, one was the security guard, which I asked about being able to wheel the bike down. He said that was fine. And the other person was somebody who obviously lives nearby. Came into the walkway over that side, over there. Took this walk around here, and then there's the other exit just there. So they basically just took a shortcut through the across the quarry rather than walking all the way around the outside along the road, which is fair enough. Just hear the plane take off because we're not far from Sydney Airport either, really. Wednesday morning and heading back in for another day of day marking. Really struggling with some excruciating sciatic pain today. I seem to have set it off on Sunday somehow. It wasn't bothering me when I was in the yard, but I felt it a little bit at night, and then it was really bad Monday morning, and I was kind of wincing and lying around, and then getting about yesterday. It seemed to ease out during the day, because by the afternoon I was limping, but I was walking. It wasn't too bad. And last night was all right. This morning when I woke up, I felt the little twinge, and then I couldn't get out of the bed. And when I did, I just sort of fell to the floor. It took me over 2 hours to get ready to leave today. If you've never had sciatic pain, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's the left side, so at least I can drive the auto. Trying to get this left leg into a position that doesn't hurt is near impossible. I'm just hoping it sort of does the same thing as yesterday and eases itself out throughout the day. Otherwise, trying to sit all day is going to be a nightmare. Anyway, full day marking today, tomorrow back to work, and then marking at night after work. And all of my markers come in tomorrow night as well. See how we go from there. Thank God I've got the bike. I could not walk this distance, but this is still deadly painful. Just finished with my Year 11 construction class, and one student worked on his sawhorse. That's his practice one, so he got that finally finished. While he was doing that, I reclaimed from some of the Year 12 ones that weren't taken from this year group. They just left them all here, so I've got 70 by 35 from the legs, a couple of 90 by 35s from the tops, whole stack of 65 by 19, long pieces, short pieces. The only pieces that I couldn't really keep was all the little cleats and little gusset pieces, because they're basically too small to reuse. But the next class can use these for gussets and cleats. They can use these for gussets, cleats and braces, and we'll get brand new stuff for doing the long beam for the next class. Also managed to reclaim all of the 50mm screws. So the 2-inch screws, that box was empty at the start of this period, and that's just out of these jobs. As I said, I only had one student today. I was meant to have two. One's at school and he hasn't shown up here. Need to follow that up. All my other students are actually out at work placement this week. They go out with a builder or a factory or something like that for the whole week. So that student basically got free rein of the tools because he was the only one working. That student and this one that have actually completed their practice sawhorse, and now they have to make a second one without asking any questions. Everything's got to be from them reading the plan and them remembering the process of how to do it. Night marking this time. So I've just had Year 8 today. We had a double, and you saw me cutting the steel up for their class the other day. And we do a paper box first, and so the kids all start out with a piece of paper, and then we mark it out as you would for steel, sheet metal, marking out through, marking in from the edges so everything's going to be accurate. And they had to do safety edge for the box, and then the height of the box, and then little angles for marking out all the tabs and that sort of stuff on the safety edge. And they end up with something like this. That's my one, it says Mr. Berg on it. And if I hold up all the ones for the kids, there's theirs. They've done pretty well to get them all set out. They did need a bit of help. Numeracy skills aren't the greatest. Some are pretty good, some aren't. And it was good to see some of the kids helping each other out.
The ones who are better at maths would help out with the maths bits of understanding, doing the subtractions. Yeah, what's 200 minus 60, so they know what measurement they need to basically put down. And then some were more tactile and they like using the scissors, and so they'd help out with the cutting out. And I would put, once they had it all marked out, I actually put a texture mark all around where they needed to cut so that they would follow the right lines, because the last thing they want to do is remove these tabs, because when we're doing a sheet metal job, that's where the pop rivets are going to go, and if they're going off metal, then there's no way to join it, because you can't glue sheet metal. I know you can weld sheet metal, but the last thing you want to do is try and weld galvanised steel. So I've now got them last period tomorrow on Friday, where we're going to try and put these boxes together, fold them all up, tape them together so they can see what the box would look like, and then we might actually get onto marking out the steel ones, because I've got all those pieces ready.
I meant to be heading to marking, but one of my workmates came in and his wife rang and said there's a fire up in the mountains, one street across from my house. I rang my marking supervisor, who's a fiery, and he got on and he said, yeah, if you need to get up there, get up there. I rang my wife and they said it should be under control. Apparently it started in someone's backyard on a day that's a total fire ban and as windy as it is. Why the hell somebody would light a fire in their backyard, I don't know. I'm just heading up. I'm almost to our house and I have to drive through a fair bit of smoke to get to it, but I think, and I hope they let me through because it's on the street. I've got to get past to get down to the house. And my supervisor basically said, head up. If I don't hear from you, I know you're staying there. If you need to, if you're coming back down, give us a call. So I'm hoping they're going to let us through here. The way the smoke is blowing, it actually looks to me like it is the next street up, because the fires near me, map said there was one up that way and then one down this way near our place as well. But the way I can see the smoke looks like it's coming from the next street up, which is like a few hundred meters up that way. Why do you keep blacking out, camera? Jesus. You know, people all over the place just blocking the intersection. I need to get down to my house. Fire truck just arrived, pulled up at the station.